What's your close rate?
75% close rate. The most important strategy is engaging and reacting in their stories. Because what happens is when you the right fit for our program, for us, when you change that psychology, it's very interesting how people respond very differently. You want to dig deep enough that the gap feels so wide that the prospect can't imagine reaching their goals without help. And that's when...
During COVID, she actually had to shut down her business, leaving her with no income. She then pivoted, launched, and today runs a successful online dance coaching business. Last time we spoke, she cracked the 7-figure run rate mark, and I learned something really interesting about her close rate. So what's your close rate in sales calls?
So obviously it varies slightly from month to month, but averaging about 75% close rate for our closers.
75% close rate. That is crazy. Let's double click on that. Why is it 75%? What do you think?
Well, we have a pretty rigorous screening process. So to get to, so we have internal language and external language. So for internally, we call them sales calls. With our prospects, we call them interviews. So to get to the interview, they have had usually a DM conversation with me first. Then they go into a triage call, which we call a phone consultation with our prospects. So they go through one person there, and then they get to the interview / sales call. So there's 3 steps that they get to, and usually they disqualify themselves along the way. Sometimes one of the things that I think is the reason why we have such a high close rate is we do reveal the price in a pre-call video before they get to the sales call. So we go into a lot of detail before the call. So they already know ahead of time what the program entails, what the time commitment is, what the financial commitment is before they even get on the sales call. So oftentimes we might get people that drop off at that point where they see it and they go, you know what, this isn't for me. And they don't even get to a sales call. So the people that generally show up to the sales call are people that are really interested buyers. They already know what the commitment is. They already know what's expected of them. So at this point, the interview, which is the sales call, is really just truly to qualify them and to make sure that they're the right fit. And if they are, then the closers close on the call.
Amazing. You know what? I see a trend in the industry as well, where a couple of years ago, you have this setter call, closer call, then 90-minute value pitch, and so on and so forth, to now where maybe even with YouTube and other channels, the people are already educating themselves about everything. And then they sign up for something. They have to watch a video before actually being eligible, or to have, let's say, that action plan that is then being co-created in the call. And they watch so much content that when they show up, they actually are ready to get their credit card out.
They're pre-sold. Absolutely. So a big part of what we do is we have a lot of social proof. So I've been working with a publicist for the last several months this year, and we have a lot of media. I've been on NBC and Fox and MSN, Billboard. So a lot of recognizable media. So if somebody's a cold prospect and they just do a quick Google search for Menina Fortunato or the business of dance, they're going to see tons of articles in major publications that they recognize. So that already will get someone's attention and go, oh, okay, so this must be legit. And then we've got, all the social proof on social media. We've got lots of client testimonials. So we've got screenshots and we've got videos. So there's already a lot of content. We've also recently released a new lead magnet, which is a 10-minute free training. And in that 10-minute free training, we cover a lot. Not only are they getting education in that 10 minutes, but they're getting social proof, they're getting credibility, they're getting authority, they get to know my background in dance, they get to know the clients that I've helped, their success stories, along with education and a call to action at the end of the 10 minutes to book their phone consultation, which is their triage call. So we've actually had a few people without a real DM conversation that have opted into the lead magnet. Literally, we sent them the link to the free training, and they appear in our calendar without a conversation. So even that lead magnet has been very effective for us in warming up a cold and then becoming a warm prospect to where they see this is legit, this person's legit, the program looks amazing, there's lots of social proof, client success stories, and they added value and taught me something new. Great. I want to be considered for this program. So between the lead magnet, between the media, between the social media presence online, specifically Instagram, because that's where the majority of our leads come from. Plus, we have the pre-call video, which is a 45-minute video presentation that goes through everything. So by the time they get to the closer, they already know everything about me, about the business, about the client success, about the program, about the details. So at that point, the job of the closer is not to sell them. So oftentimes, a lot of businesses will be selling on the call. There's no selling on the call. They've already been pre-sold. If they've made it that far, they're interested. They're interested in being, and so now it's just a matter of, are they going to be accepted? Because it's an invitation only program. It's not open enrollment where anybody can come in. We want to make sure that the people that we bring in are qualified, that they're, going to be good clients, that they're reliable, they're good communicators, that they actually have the talent, because we're dealing with dancers and wanting to create careers, making sure they have the work ethic, the mindset, the support, all these things. So the sales call really truly is an interview. It's to make sure that, are you the right fit for us, for the program? And then if the synergy is there, then they get an offer on the call, and then they buy on the spot.
Right, it makes sense. You also want to only work with the people that you really enjoy working with, and where you know
Absolutely.
that you can make them successful, and they will get there. So that makes sense.
Yep.
Double clicking on what you just shared, if you look at the funnel, like the old school way, how you maybe have done it in the past and how you do it today, how have the numbers changed? Let's say 100 people come into the funnel at the top, and like what metrics have changed, and maybe even like what impact did it have on the team, because the sales guy or the interview person now has to be maybe have a different mindset or a different skill set. So how have the numbers changed, and how has the team setup changed?
So what has changed for the team is we've got more leads than we can handle, which is a great problem. So we just started doing ads. It's another thing too. I've built my business up until a month ago completely organically, just through social media, primarily through Instagram. But we just started doing an Instagram DM funnel, which has been a game changer. We just started. Like, I'm a newbie when it comes to ads. I do have an ads manager who handles this part of the business, because this is beyond my comprehension, but we're doing great. Our average cost per lead is about $2, and we've only spent $2,500 in ad spend, and we've generated 900 leads. And I have 2 appointment setters that are going through those leads, and every day we wake up and there's like another 60 leads that need attention. And the 2 setters that I currently have, because of the lead flow, I'm promoting them to different roles now. And I just hired, as of today, 3 appointment setters. So once we get them trained up, the objective is to have someone that is working almost 24/7, where I have shifts. I will have 20 hours of labor, basically behind the scenes, working to speak to prospects. And then I get to speak to my ads manager very soon, and we get to increase the ad spend. So basically we need to turn on the faucet, so then all these leads can come pouring in, because the lead magnet has been such an effective way of getting people to opt in. So we use ManyChat. I assume you're familiar with it, but we just started using that. So they type in the keyword dance, and then they instantly get the training. So we don't have to manually do that part. Now, our appointment setters do communicate with the prospect live after that, but just to get the conversation going. So literally, like, I look at my, the DMs, and it's just like dance, 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 all of these opt-ins that are coming in, and that's from the ads. But equally, we have some organic strategies that we use as well. So with the whole team, like, we have a pretty good lead flow at this point, and I expect that we're going to crank things up a notch very soon once we get these new appointment setters trained up.
What was the previous way how you did it before you went into ads and built out this whole system? And maybe also, what should someone out there that has not set up anything yet do in the beginning to get going in the smartest way?
When I first started, I primarily was focused on Facebook and Facebook groups. I have a Facebook public group, so I used to have people come in that way. But we got distracted by Instagram. So Instagram for me is where my audience lives. I'm dealing with dancers, and the majority of them are all on Instagram. So for somebody listening that may be starting out, you need to find out where your prospects hang out. If you're dealing with professionals, maybe you're better off on LinkedIn. If you're dealing with younger people, maybe they're on TikTok. If in my case, and I think a lot of age groups are on Instagram. I think Instagram has now become a real popular place to find leads. But essentially, the organic strategy that we've been using is we will go on competitors' profiles and look at their followers, or not necessarily competitors, but people that have our ideal market. So in our case, I'm looking at other dance businesses and they have followers. So I go in their follower list and I'll go on their profiles. Now, for me, I'm looking for dancers, so it's very easy to spot a dancer from a mile away. But if you have a different type of niche, it might not be as obvious. So you go onto their profiles and you engage in their content. You like, you comment, but more specifically, the most important strategy is engaging and reacting in their stories. Because what happens is when you engage in someone's stories, there's usually some kind of emoji that pops up in their DM. So by engaging in somebody's story, it creates an engagement in the DM conversation. So that can usually ignite a conversation. And that's what we want, is we want as many people in our DMs. Another strategy is what we call a two-step. So if I would do a post and I would have some kind of call to action that, DM me the word blah, 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 and I'll send you this free training or this free PDF or this free whatever lead magnet that you have, that will get people to opt in. They can comment on your content. So let's just say it's a reel. They can comment. By doing that boosts the algorithms, because Instagram loves engagement, and reels, as you know, are viewable by anybody, not just your followers, because that's what you want. You want your reel to be seen by as many people as possible. So reels are a great way to get new leads that people aren't that necessarily are following you. So by them engaging on your post, then you start a conversation. So we used to manually do this before ManyChat. And then go in their DMs and say, hey, here's the whatever the lead magnet was. And that creates conversation. And then once we are in the DMs, once we've made a touch point of some kind, there's a simple, hey, if somebody follows you, that's another thing too that we do. Somebody follows me, we send them a DM and say, hey, thanks, Susie Q, for the follow. It's great to connect with you. Hope you have an amazing day. Just curious, what prompted you to follow me? So that creates dialogue. So then the person will respond back. Oh, I like your content. Oh, I see you help dancers. Oh, my friend follows you, whatever the reason is. And that creates the conversation. And then we have a DM script. So the first touch point is, who are you? Basically, what do you do? What's your situation? So where you're at, you're trying to find where the prospect is at in their journey. For my case, I'm dealing with dancers. How many hours a week do you train? What styles of dance do you do? That sort of thing. Then we want to identify what their goals are. Okay, great. So this is what you do, but what would you like to do? What is your ultimate goal? So if you're, dealing with business owners, if your niche is business owners, great. So this is what you do for your business. Great. What are your goals? So you want to find out what their goals are. The next step is to identify the gap. Find out what their needs are. What exactly do you need help with? You want to dig deep enough that the gap feels so wide that the prospect can't imagine reaching their goals without help. And that's when you can lead into, well, I can help you with that. And then we go into client success stories. Well, I've helped so-and-so who had a similar journey to yours. We took them from here to here, and this is their end result. Oh, wow, I would like to do that too. That creates trust, that builds authority, credibility. And then once we get to that point, that it's like, great, well, I could probably help you with that. I have a program, and this is where we introduce the program, called The Business of Dance. It's an online mentorship program where we help dancers just like you. So if you have a different offer, we help fitness coaches just like you, whatever it is that you help people do. With everything that you've shared with me so far, I think that you might be a suitable candidate. Now, it is invitation only, so we do a push away. It is invitation only. We do screen our candidates very carefully. However, based on everything that you shared with me so far, I think you might be a great candidate. So if it's all right with you, I'll send you the link to our calendar so you can pick a day and time to do a free phone consultation. Does that work for you? Great. You send them the link, you book a call. From there, do you want me to keep going? on the client journey?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. It's
they booked
exciting.
they booked the triage call, or the phone consultation is what we call it with the prospects. So then they get on with a phone consultation. This is a 15-minute conversation, which is very similar to what already happened in the DM. So qualify them, where they're at, where they want to be, what they need help with. Again, if everything lines up, great. Well, I'd like to invite you to the next phase, which is a Zoom interview with our talent recruiting director. That's our closer. So from that point on the call, we get them booked in for their Zoom interview right on the call. Now, before they get, let me back up a little bit. Before they even got to the phone consultation, there was a 10, 15-minute video, an intro video. So if they haven't, let's just say they're cold, they don't know anything about me, there's a little intro video which shares a little bit of the clients that I've helped, some testimonials, basically social proof. So they already have an idea of what we do. They don't know the details yet. So let's just say they got invited to the sales call, which is our interview. Then they get sent a 45-minute video presentation. And this is where we go deep dive. This is where we go into all the program details, like literally everything that they need to know, FAQs, the price, the time commitment, all those things. So before they get on the call, this is where some people drop off. So usually it's smooth sailing until about this point. So then some people, that's where the money objections come in. This is where the time objections come in. This is where, this is not the right time, whatever the objections are. Now, in some cases, we can overcome those objections and they still show up to the call because we do offer financial solutions. We can offer financing. We can offer payment plans. We've helped families with many circumstances figure it out. And we truly believe that if there's a will, there's a way. If you truly value something, you'll make it work. And we're here to help you with that. But we don't know how to help you unless you show up to your interview and to your sales call. So that's the job of the closer. The closer then goes and does a deep dive, a real deep dive. We have a whole script for that as well, where they really identify, the prospect's goals and needs and wants, and then decides whether or not they're accepted in the program. If they're accepted, then they're asked, based on everything you saw in the video, which pricing option would you like to choose? Because we have different pricing options. And then if there's, again, financial objections, that's where the closer has the creative job of finding a solution for them on the call. And if all goes well, then it becomes a sale. So I hope that gave you a mental visual of the prospect journey from the first touch point. And all of this is done organically. All of this was always done organically up until this point.
It reminds me a bit how the Ivy League operates, Harvard. I could call it the Harvard funnel, where it's like super exclusive. There's interviews. It's really hard to get in, to then pay $100K, like if you are chosen. So that's interesting. And actually it also connects to the whole thing with financial aid, because you can get scholarships if you qualify, right?
Yeah. I'm laughing at you right now because one of my closers actually likes to say, we're like the Harvard for dance because of our screening process. And it feels, for our market, it definitely feels better. People don't like to be sold to. People don't like the feeling of we're trying to sell them something. And when you have a filtering process that qualifies the prospect, it's not so much why we're so great and why we can help you and why you want to join us. It's, are you the right fit for our program, for us? When you change that psychology, it's very interesting how people respond very differently.
Right.
Harvard is a very expensive school and people line up to get accepted into that school, and they'll pay the premium price to get into that school because of the way they've been positioned. Now they have a reputation as well that follows, and that's exactly what we're trying to do within the dance space, is create that kind of reputation that people know this is for the elite. This is for the high level dancers. These are for the people that are serious. These are for the people that are committed. And even still, I find that our pricing is a fraction of a lot of these universities that offer dance degrees. And that's a whole nother conversation within itself, where we have clients that have dance degrees that have no idea how to create careers, and they go to great schools, but the schools, just like most education system, they don't always teach you how to create a career. They teach you the skill of whatever it is that you're trying to study. In dance, they teach you the skill and the art of dance. They don't teach you how to create a career. And that's the gap that we're filling.
as a layman, it's quite easy to say, dance, like Instagram, TikTok, it's all like just a bunch of teenagers that like do something cool on the camera, but there's no money, right? There, but apparently there is. So how do you know who your ideal customer is? How did you figure that out? And how do you attract exactly these, like the ones with the ambition and with the funds?
Well, I think anybody that's trying to achieve anything at a high level generally is someone that's serious to invest. Now, in dance, I can tell you that dance parents will spend $10,000, $20,000 a year just as a child competitive dancer. We're talking amateur level here. So in my market, I know that because I was a competition kid, my father owned a dance studio, my parents owned own a dance convention competition. So I know what these parents spend. They spend a lot on dance. It's not a cheap activity. So I also know that these parents are used to investing in their children. And only the serious ones really get to that high level because it's not cheap. Dance is expensive. So I know that that market is a elite market where only the serious, the ones that are willing to invest, are um, would be interested in a program like ours. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, an offer that I had prior to that, which was not as successful, is I used to have a mom dance fitness program. That's how I initially started my journey. And I had a little bit of success, but it wasn't that great. And one thing that I quickly realized in that market is mothers will not spend money on themselves. They will spend money on their children. And I'm a mother and I know this for firsthand. I will do anything and everything for my kids. And then for myself, I'm like, whatever. So that's something that I learned very quickly as I thought, well, don't, I remember mothers saying, well, I only, spend $50 a month at a gym. Like, I don't want to spend a few $100s on an online program. You don't even get to train. Like it was just a different market altogether. And I was really struggling with dealing with mothers and their fitness. They just didn't want to spend the money. They would rather just spend $50 a month at a gym that they get no results at, and wonder why they're stuck. But I quickly realized that that market was not ideal for me. I have been serving dancers, however, for a long time, but just not on this capacity. So I have a dance event called the Hollywood Summer Tour, which I've been doing since 2006. And I've been serving this market of aspiring pro dancers since then. So I know that that market, I knew from my own experience that that market was a good market to be in, but I had never done the online coaching. That was something very new and different for me. So I had to obviously create something completely new for the industry as well. Like in my industry, we don't have anything like this. So this was very foreign for me, and foreign for even my industry. So I had to, in the beginning, I had to really prove myself. Now I feel like I'm at a level now where the program's proven, people are starting to understand and know what I do, and there's a lot of social proof behind it. But in the beginning, I had nothing. Literally all I had, as you know from the previous conversation, was a Canva presentation. That was it. That's all I had to work with, was a Canva presentation. I had no funnel. I had no website. I had no promo video. I had no testimonials. I got nothing. So it was literally just a vision in the beginning. But I did have credibility in my field as an expert in dance because I had a career in dance. I've been in the dance game for over 30 plus years. So I'm not just some fly by night person that said, I'm just going to mentor dancers and I know nothing about dance. No, I've had a career for many, many years. It's just I haven't mentored dancers in this capacity online before. This is where I was diving into new territory. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I feel like you really have to find a niche that, I mean, they say what the riches are in the niches, right? You need to find a niche that is willing to invest in themselves. I feel like the industries are wealth, health, relationships, and indirectly the
Right.
dance coaching space is in the wealth space. It's in the space of I'm helping people create careers, and the objective is those careers will pay them money. So there's an ROI. The ROI for the customer has to be great. The bigger the pain, the higher the price. The bigger the solution, the higher the price. And, obviously there's many different factors that go into finding your right audience. But I also think one of the best ways to find your audience is to find the old version of you. You are your own hero story. If you can say to someone, I've got myself from A to B, and this is how I did it, and I can show you how to do it too. You are your own testimonial in the very beginning. We have no social proof, no testimonials. Nobody knows who you are. You created a transformation for yourself. And essentially, I created a career for myself. I started with nothing. I wasn't that super talented kid growing up. Nobody thought much of me growing up, but I created a big career and worked with some mega stars and traveled the world and all these wonderful things. So I can share my story and my journey to my prospects before helping other people. That's all I had was my story. So I think your story, whatever your story is, I think is a great starting point to understand who you need to serve. You need to serve people that were in your shoes. Help your old self. I think that's really where the magic sauce is for anybody that's still trying to figure out who to serve.
Let me double click on two things real quick. One is, and it's really interesting because people talk about passion all the time, not the company, but like the word passion, right?
Yeah.
And what not many know is that passion comes from the Latin word passio, which means to suffer or to endure. So ultimately, it's a story of your upbringing, of becoming worthy, and it's like, if seek discomfort is actually much harder than this, because it's like from you cannot walk, you cannot eat when you're born, you will actually essentially die if you're not being taken care of, to ultimately lots of stuff happens during your upbringing with you getting, I don't know, betrayal happens, your father, your mother, your grandparents, like whatever like happens to you. We all have our own story to ultimately achieve that we belong, that we contribute, that we have impact. And so for that reason, everyone has their own story. There's 8 billion unique stories out there. And that's ultimately the passion that we all have. So there's 8 million passions out there. The question is, are you aware of it? Do you like embrace it? And if you do, then your unique story can definitely create value and impact out there. The guy that went most hardcore on this was Jesus, like the passion of Christ. He like died for it and resurrected and so on. But yeah, so I completely agree. Like your story will actually, it's not holding you back. It's not your problem. It's actually the solution. So embracing that is in many ways
It's your superpower.
the thing that you need to unleash to really then yes, your superpower. And then the second thing is the Harvard analogy again, right? Like there's of course an ROI with Harvard. You pay 100, 200K, whatever, and then you later get better access to a network, to a higher salary, and you have a great ROI, so it makes sense. But then also the parents chip in and they save over decades before and so on, and that's quite interesting here, and because it feels like it's similar. Then the question is, what's the actual problem that you're truly solving for them or their parents? Like, what's the actual, like, what is this thing, this pain point, which is so deep that paying whatever the price is worth it? Is it that it's really fucking hard to make money in dance, and working with Menina, like that's our best shot in order to actually also become a professional dancer, and that's their passion of the kids, of the daughter, the son, and now they can finally have best outcome to actually make money in this industry, and that's like such a pain? Or like what's the actual pain really?
The pain is, imagine dedicating your entire life to something. In this case, it's dance. And you would love to be able to do this for a living. But you as a dancer have no idea what's next. You as a parent have no idea what's possible. So if you don't get the information now, if you don't get connected to the right people, to the right networks, if you have no education on what it actually takes to create a career, that leads to someone's dreams shattered. Decades of time, energy, sweat, blood, tears, money. Kid dancers, they start when they're 3 years old. They graduate high school at 18. Just at 15 years, an 18-year-old may have dedicated 15 years of their life thousands of dollars from the parents. Imagine putting all of that and then all just poof, gone at 18 because mommy and daddy don't know how to support them and dancer has no idea what's next. And what happens is, and I see this happen a lot, is I would love to dance, but I have no idea how. Mom and dad says, no, there's no career in dance anyways. You don't make a lot of money in dance. So just go study something else and go get a real job. And what ends up happening is you have dancers that grow up and always wondered, what if I actually pursued dance? I never followed my dream. I listened to the status quo and I did what everybody told me to do, but it's not what I really wanted. How many people out there don't love what they do, that just clock in, clock out, work because they have to, not because they want to? I think the majority of people, that's their life. And imagine dedicating your entire life to the age of 65. Let's just say you retire at 65 and you dedicate 40 years to a career that you don't even like. What is the point of living if you don't even enjoy the work that you do? So what I'm doing is I'm a dream seller. I help people create their dream careers. And in this case, it's specific to dance. I show them how I did it. I bring in guest speakers every week. So they meet with dance agents and choreographers and producers and casting directors, other dancers, educators, people that have already done it. So they get to not only meet them, they get to learn from them. They get to be a part of a community of other like-minded, driven people. So maybe they're from a small town and they don't have that community support and they're the only dancer at their school that even wants a career. Everybody else just sees dance as a hobby. So it can be very isolating for that young dancer that has no support in their community. They have no support at home. Their parents may not even be as supportive because they have doubts because they don't even know what's possible. But then when I meet these parents and they see me and they're like, wow, you're living your dream life. You're traveling the world. You're a wife. You're a mom. You've got 3 kids. You do what you love. Man, I would love that for my child one day. So I'm hoping that I can lead by example by making a great living, doing what I love, so I can lead the way and be a trailblazer so that other young dancers and parents can see for themselves that it's possible. I've done it. I'm living it and I'm still doing it. I'm well into my 40s now. And, everybody thinks that, oh, you just dance when you're young and then, go get a real job, go do something else later. And I'm also trying to show them that the performing life is only a small part of your career. There's so many other avenues that you can pursue. So I'm showing them what the other avenues are by bringing in all these other guest speakers so they can hear like, oh, I never thought about being a producer one day. Oh, I never thought about being a singer or an actor or a casting director or an agent. Like there's so many other areas or keynote speakers. I know some of the best keynote speakers are ex-professional dancers, So there's so many avenues that people just don't know. And because I come from a dance family, it's not just me, it's my parents, it's my brother, it's my sister, all of us, and it's my husband as well. We've all created careers in dance and entertainment, all of us. So I share my story, my family story as well to show them that, look what we're doing. We're living our dreams. We're doing what we love. And we all are very different. None of us are the same. All of us have very different paths, different stories. So I want to show them that you too can carve out your dream career. And I want to be able to show them the path, show them the way. And that's why there's so much value in what we offer.
Zooming out from the whole conversation about kids and their parents is how to convince if you're not the sole decision maker. To give an example, in B2B, you have to maybe convince your boss. If you are buying any of the 4-figure programs, you maybe have to convince your wife or your husband. In your case, kids have to convince their parents. So connecting that also to the content that we spoke about in the beginning, where it's less like in the actual call of like a sales call where it's just about this person, like with the content marketing and all the videos, maybe it's also easier to convince if there are more decision makers at the table. Just wonder what your take on this is. How do you convince all the decision makers? Because
So
ultimately they sell it to them, right, to the decision maker. It's not like you sell it to them, but then they have to sell it to the decision maker.
So we have a solution for that. So we require that all decision makers are on the sales call, on the interview. We will not conduct an interview unless all of them are on the call. Because as you know, with any sales call, with any industry, you get the, let me talk to my husband. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my business partner. Let me talk to my life coach, whatever, whoever it is that you talk to. So we make it a mandatory requirement. We will not conduct an interview until all decision makers are on the call. So in our case, usually it's mom and dad. Sometimes it's a single family household. That's okay if that parent is the sole decision maker. Sometimes we have grandparents that join the call because grandma or grandpa, they also help out. We've had dance teachers, we've had dance studio owners. So we've had up to like 4 or 5 people on a Zoom call at any given time, because what we want to do is set them up for success, because we know from our experience, because in the beginning we didn't do this. We didn't make it a requirement. It was a recommendation. Now it's a requirement. We won't even do the interview until everybody's on the call, because I mean, we just had the scenario yesterday where a prospect showed up, and this is a 25-year-old adult. And we asked her, is everybody here that is involved in your life that you would consult with on this call? Oh no, my grandmother. So if you were accepted, would your grandmother be a part of the decision making or funding this for you? Yes, she would. Okay, great. We'll need to reschedule when your grandmother can also be on the call. They don't have to be in the same room. They can be tuning in from different locations, but they need to be on the call. The reason why is this is what happens. Let's just say, oh, well, it's okay. We can just do it with me. Great. We have a great conversation. You're accepted. Fantastic. Let me talk to my grandma. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my husband, whoever they need to talk to. And then what happens is they give a diluted version of what happened. So they don't have all the information. They didn't watch the pre-call video, so they don't know anything about the program. Somebody that just heard the information for the first time, who clearly doesn't absorb everything, tries to regurgitate what they just heard. Oh, it's this thing and about this and this much and blah, blah, blah. And then the person on the receiving end is like, what is this? How much? No, forget about it. And then what happens is that person ends up with a broken heart. And we tell the dancers, we don't want to break your heart. We want to set you up for success, so that if there's somebody else in your life, they need to be on the call so that they, one, can get all the information firsthand. They have an opportunity to also ask questions, because I'm sure they will. So if you are accepted, that everyone has the information they need to make an educated decision on the call. So that is how we've overcome that struggle, because I know a lot of businesses probably deal with this as well. That, let me talk to my husband, let me talk to my this. It's like, well, we're not having a conversation unless all the decision makers are on the call. So, and then we also only offer one interview per family, because what we don't want to do, it's a waste of everybody's time. Let's just say we have a call with one mother-daughter. Great. It goes fantastic. Then, oh, my husband has a bunch of questions. Can we schedule another call? Then we got to schedule a second follow-up call. So then we spend another hour with the dad when we could have just done everything all at once. It saves them time. It saves our team time. And anyways, that's just how we do it. And it works really well. And again, that's, I think, another reason why we have a high close rate is because we get everybody to sit down. And sometimes for these families, it's literally the first time they've ever sat down as a family and talked about their dancer's future. Like literally the first time. After spending 10 years investing in their dance, they've never had these conversations. So for a lot of them, it's very eye-opening and educational for them. They're like, oh, wow, we never even thought about this. Okay. So it works really well. And I guess it helps with our close rate for sure.
Is there anything else when you talk about your funnel, your close rate, your numbers, how you do things that constantly wows people, or they're like, oh shit, that's interesting?
Well, our cost per lead right now is pretty low. I don't know what industry standard is, but I think it's pretty low.
It's like close to $3 a lead, which is an amazing number, like based on what you shared earlier. But you're also on a small scale. If you were at a much higher scale, your lead prices usually would go up to maybe even $20, $30, $40, $50, $60. Who knows?
I mean, our close rate, I guess, is above industry standard. Right now, our ads, because we're just warming up so far, is our numbers are really great. Something that we also just did recently is we're running a contest, and we've partnered up with a nonprofit organization called Backstage, and they're donating a $10,000 scholarship. And we've also partnered up with Inside Dance Magazine, and they are going to be featuring the winner in their magazine. So that has also exploded. where within less than 2 weeks, we've already had 200 applications. So that has been a great
Amazing.
lead generator to be able to have, so having this contest, this is a new thing for us as well. We've never done this before. So that has been really cool to see all these people, applying from all over the world and sharing their stories. Um, and now these are new leads for us, essentially. Only one winner, but these are definitely people that could potentially be customers as well, because there's only one grand prize winner.
What you just said, actually, something interesting is the whole PR angle, because like marketing is what you tell other people about your business, and branding is what other people tell behind your back when you're not in the room about yourself, right, or about your business. How do you actually strategize or implement becoming the Harvard for dance? Like, what is your reasoning there? How do you actually make that a reality?
Well, I think with anything, it takes time to have reputation like that. The Business of Dance is a newer brand. It's only been around for 2 years, almost 2 years now. And I think with our client success has been a huge thing. I mean, we just had dancers do the Super Bowl with Usher. We had 12 dancers that did that. We've had kids that done Delta commercials and Gap ads. One dancer broke a Guinness World Record signing with agents. So we are literally making dreams come true. Like, there are dancers, like, we've got the social proof. So having that kind of social proof is very powerful. Having the media attention, I've been published in over 400 media outlets in just 6 months with the help of my publicist. So that has been huge. Not many businesses can say they've been able to achieve that in a short amount of time. Thankfully, I do have credibility within the dance industry, so I'm not starting totally from ground zero. But the social proof, the credibility, and then our sales process, like, it's not traditional in the sense of, um, we've changed the psychology around to where it's, you're applying to be a part of us. You have to prove that you are qualified to be a part of our program, as opposed to, let me tell you why I'm going to be great and why I think you're going to love my program. When you push, people pull back. When you attract, people come forward. And that's the psychology that we've adapted, which I think Harvard has done a really good job of over the years, is they attract people to them. They have a name already. They have the success of their alumni. So that sells itself. Now they're at a level where they don't probably need to do commercials or big ads, because people are lining up to be a part of their school. And I mean, that's essentially what I would love to be able to create within my own industry, to make it to where it's like, it's hard to get in. Not everybody gets accepted, but those that get in, they do really well. So it's exciting. And I mean, I'm definitely no Harvard by any means. I'm not there yet, but that would be, I mean, I've already talked about, I would love to even get accredited. That's something I haven't, dove into, but if there's a way to get accredited or something more formal, that would be a cool avenue to pursue.
What were some of the smartest and best decisions, looking back, that you've done to get towards that goal? And what were things that you wouldn't do again?
Smartest decision was not being a solopreneur. I, for many years, was a solopreneur. I always felt like nobody could do a better job than I. I also had trust issues. I couldn't trust anybody with my business. And once I overcome that mental block, it was really a game changer. When you really know how to delegate, and building out a team has been life-changing. When I can literally be on the playground with my kids and be able to make thousands of dollars on a Sunday, that's one of those pinch me moments, that I created a business now that is almost running itself. Yes, I show up, and yes, I'm very active and very hands-on within the business, but I used to be a slave to my business, where if I didn't work, nothing got done. Whereas now I can sleep and wake up and there's stuff that's being done while I sleep. And having an amazing team. I'm so grateful for the team that I have and the team that I'm building and the growth that we've had. And I've always imagined what it would be like to have a team, but never really truly did it until recently. The other game changer for me was hiring coaches. I You think you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. And I've had some incredible coaches along the way and incredible programs that I've been a part of. Passion being the first one. The first one that I ever did was the Expert Unleashed Challenge. And that was my first introduction. And having that education was really valuable in those early phase, because otherwise you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. And that's kind of what I was doing in the very beginning. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I thought I could do it the way I thought I could, but I realized very quickly that doing it alone was a lot harder. And you can fast track and shortcut your success big time when you hire coaches, when you have mentors, when you have people that have already done what you want to do. They can shortcut your time tenfold, which I realize this is what I'm doing with my own clients. My own clients could take 10 years to accomplish what they could do in 6 months with me. Equally, I've hired coaches. Every coach has a coach. I've hired great coaches along the way as well that have shown me the way because they're years ahead of me. So I think there's a lot of value, and it's okay to ask for help, and it doesn't make you less qualified at what you're doing. Not everybody's an expert at everything, and you can't be an expert at everything in your business. Yes, I've learned every aspect of my business, but I'm definitely not an expert. Just like I'm not an expert in Facebook ads. I hired somebody that is. So, do I understand what they're doing? Yes. But do I have, here's another thing: who, not how. That's what changed my life. There's a book, I forget the author, but Who, Not How is the philosophy behind that. Essentially, is rather than trying to figure out how to do something, just find the right who that knows how, because it will shortcut your success like tenfold when you actually hire somebody that knows what they're doing versus trying to figure out how to do something like watch a YouTube video over and over again. It's like building a house. Would you like to build a house from the ground up by watching a bunch of YouTube videos? Or would you rather just hire a contractor and an architect that actually know what they're doing and they could build a house in 6 months? Take your pick. I would rather hire somebody that knows what they're doing personally. If I had to build a house, I would be homeless for the next 30 years. So the same
It's
in
true.
business.
To add to that, actually, I think like what makes it tough is, and I can just like speak from my own experience, my first and actually only job ever, like in the beginning of my 20s, I was an executive assistant. And back then, the founder said, hey, all the interviews, top management and all people that we get, you should also interview them. So I interviewed hundreds of people when I was like in my early 20s, and then built my own first venture and second, third one, and likely had thousands of interviews, even before turning 30. And I think what I learned from it is that there is a lot of people, even like what you said, Facebook ads. There's a lot of people that just like, based on paper, they can do Facebook ads, and it all makes sense. And you think they can Facebook ads because they say it, and they have some words that you maybe don't understand. But to find someone that is 10x to your business, like pivotal to your business in every single function, is really hard. It's really
It is.
hard. You have to speak to hundreds of people, and you have to get yourself really, really good at understanding who has the right values, is the right culture fit, and has the knowledge, so that when you speak with them, every question that you have, and I think with every interview, you actually get more knowledge in that space that you want to hire for. You all of a sudden, you at some point, you like, it just clicks, and you know that like this person will be likely really, really good. But it requires that my own standard, your own standard has to be really, really high. And you have to not compromise that. And only then you can actually bring this person in that really enables you to delegate, to trust, and to let go. Because otherwise you always think like, oh fuck, this is really not good enough. Like it's just, I could do it better, like again. And you're just like hiring. At some point you say like, I'm enough. Like I don't want to deal with that anymore. I just like do it by myself, and people just suck. But but
Yeah, it's not
if you
easy.
master the chance, like if you master the skill of hiring, you're going to be amazed how the business will take off and how much freedom it can give you.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it would be like dating. You sometimes gotta kiss a few frogs until you marry one. So the same applies in business. You know, sometimes you've gotta hire a few people, fire a few people until you find the right ones. And when you find the right ones, you know, like it's just like this like ding 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 that just light bulb. You're
Yeah,
like, "Yes, I found you. I've been looking for you for a while." And that's how I feel with a lot of my team members was, you know, I did try to work with some other people for different assignments and different tasks. And every time I'm like, this isn't great. You know, I'd be telling them how to do their job and they're supposed to be the expert. And I'm like, oh, this is taking away too much time. So I'm like, okay, next. But when you've done enough hiring and firing, I think you start to realize what you value, what's important to you, what you look for. So you get a better judgment of people and their skill set. And, you know, my coaches have always said, hire slow, fire
yeah,
fast. And I'm not good at the firing part. I have a soft spot. I don't like to break people's hearts, but sometimes it's essential because if your business, they can be your bottleneck. The wrong hire can cause you more problems.
yeah.
The whole
That's right.
point of hiring is to create less problems, not more.
Yeah, because actually it's more complicated than just like kissing a few frogs and you will find Prince Charming because your business is growing. If your business is exploding and you actually have to stay on top of it, that means that as an entrepreneur, you're already on that journey of ultimate personal development because only because of that, with all the coaches in the business going up, you can actually maintain that kind of like growth. And that also means that the whole organization has to grow, all the people have to grow, and someone that might have been super qualified was the best fit 2 years ago is not the right fit anymore. And then after having contributed to the company so much, having this difficult conversation is really, 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 really difficult. But you have to do it because it's the bottleneck, and otherwise you will never unlock it, and you will stay where you are, and ultimately you will fail.
Yeah, no, that is true. There's a quote that I love: "What got you here won't necessarily get you there." And the same applies for your
True.
people in your business. Sometimes the people that were very instrumental in your early years, um, no become your bottleneck later because of the new challenges and the new obstacles that it just doesn't fit anymore. The culture fit doesn't work anymore. The standards have changed in your workspace, and sometimes it is time to move on. But I've been very grateful and thankful that the majority of my team that I've had, I keep just hiring. I haven't had to do a ton of firing, which is good. It's just constant. Like I'm literally promoting people. Just the thought that I get to do that is so cool. Where I get somebody at entry level and now I'm promoting them to next level, hiring new team members. So I haven't had to do a ton of firing yet. There's been a couple that I've had to, but I think for the most part, I guess, a decent judge of character when I hire somebody. There's usually this intuition that I feel. Like some people just have
Yeah,
you just have that gut feeling that like, okay, this feels right. I don't know why, but it just does. And usually my intuition is right.
I can echo that.